planning a trip to Williamsburg can be surprisingly overwhelming. Should you visit Jamestown or Jamestown Settlement? Is Yorktown worth a full day? And what military discounts are actually worth taking advantage of? In this video, we'll answer those questions, point out a few hidden gems, explain the military benefits that can help you save money, and share the 3-day itinerary we'd recommend, along with what we'd skip if your time is limited. Before we get started, I want to let you know that Visit Williamsburg invited me to experience Williamsburg as their guest and sponsored this trip. They didn't ask me to say anything specific, and all of the opinions and recommendations in this video are entirely my own. For this trip, I traveled solo because Michael had to work, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to experience everything Williamsburg has to offer. The great thing about this area is that it works whether you're traveling solo, as a couple, or bringing along kids or grandkids. Within just a short drive, you can experience America's earliest settlements, walk through living history, explore Revolutionary War sites, enjoy great food, and even spend a day at Busch Gardens. We stayed at the Rochambeau Roadside Inn, which was a fun option for this trip. It has a very classic roadside hotel feel, but with some modern touches that make it work almost like an Airbnb. Everything is handled through your phone from check-in to check-out. And there isn't a traditional front desk experience, although they do have staff on hand during office hours and a number you can call after office hours if you need something. We'll do a more detailed review of the Rochambeau Hotel over on our other channel, Suitcase Packed Will Travel. Before there was a United States, there was Jamestown. Founded in 1607, it was the first permanent English settlement in North America and the beginning of what would eventually become the Commonwealth of Virginia. While life here was incredibly difficult, the colony survived and played a major role in shaping early American history. Today, the two main attractions are Jamestown Settlement and Historic Jamestown, but they offer very different experiences. Jamestown Settlement is a living history museum.
Here at Jamestown, you can take a look at some of these 17th century ship replicas and go inside, and they actually have interpreters that will tell you all about daily life on those ships as they crossed over to America.
Powhatan Village.
Fibers that are on the inside, so it kind of looks like hair. And those I'm using to twist up into my rope.
That's pretty cool.
A recreated fort, museum exhibits, and costumed interpreters. It's designed to show you what life was like in the early 1600s. Jamestown Settlement offers free museum admission to veterans, active duty, reserve, and retired military personnel, and up to 3 direct family members multiple times during the year. And if you receive SNAP benefits, you can also get free admission for up to 4 visitors, you plus 3, with the Museums for All program. Just a few minutes away is historic Jamestown, the actual site where the original 1607 colony stood. This area is jointly managed by the National Park Service and Jamestown Rediscovery, the archaeological organization that continues to excavate the original settlement.
So here in this space, this is the 1607 fort site. We have the historic church and towers they're standing from the time period. The archaeological museum, where there's over 4,000 artifacts out that have been uncovered from the site. This organization is still excavating on their property to this day, so they're still finding new things. Over here is called Newtown, operated by the National Park Service. This is where the colonists started expanding outside of the fort site. They started building more permanent structures over here in Newtown around the 1620s, and it remained a town until 1699 when the capital moved.
To access any portion of the island, you must purchase the National Park Service ticket. This is your first entrance pass to historic Jamestown. You can't visit the Jamestown Rediscovery portion of the site without a National Parks ticket. If you want the full historic Jamestown experience, though, you'll need both tickets. Typically, the national park ticket is $15 for adults 16 and over and free for children 15 and under. But if you have your national parks pass, that fee is waived. The Preservation Virginia ticket to get to the Rediscovery Center is $15 for adults 16 and over, $5 for children 6 to 15, and free for children 5 and under. So if you have the National Park Pass, you're going to save $15 for each adult. You can use your National Park Pass to explore just the National Park Service portion, but I don't recommend it. I visited both areas and found that the National Park section had largely old foundations and informational displays. You can walk that area in about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how much reading you want to do, but this is an area I would recommend you skip, especially if you're short on time. The Rediscovery area is much more complete and engaging. That Rediscovery Center is actually where the fort was and really allows you to absorb the landscape. You're walking through the same place where some of America's earliest colonial leaders worshipped and gathered. When you visit, you not only have the chance to walk around the site, but you may also see archaeologists at work. And throughout the grounds, you'll find blacksmiths, carpenters, historical interpreters, and other skilled craftspeople demonstrating techniques that have been practiced for centuries. While I was visiting the museum, I had the opportunity to listen to a Native American interpreter share the history and traditions of Powhatan people. The staff are incredibly knowledgeable, and one of the best parts is that they're happy to answer questions. It turns a visit from simply reading signs into having real conversations with people who are passionate about sharing history. If you're visiting with kids, be sure to stop by the archaeology discovery area called the Ed Shed. Although, to be clear, you don't need to be a kid to participate in these activities. You can try your hand at excavation techniques, learn how archaeologists uncover artifacts, and discover how even the smallest piece of pottery or bone can reveal an important clue about the past. If you're deciding between the two attractions, think of it this way. Jamestown Settlement is a more interactive experience. You can walk through it all, explore the buildings, the ships, and learn more about what it was really like, and get questions answered by the historical interpreters. Historic Jamestown lets you stand where it actually happened, watch archaeologists uncover more history, and even help them sort through actual artifacts at the Ed Shed. And while Historic Jamestown has some historical interpreters and demonstrations, the interactive options are more plentiful and varied at Jamestown Settlement. Both are excellent, but they offer different experiences. Depending on how much time you have, you can do one or both, but do both if you can. And be sure to stop at the Jamestown Glass House to see these amazing craftsmen at work.
I'm solid now. And bring her another bit of glass. Now, just because it's solid does not mean that it's cold.
The next day takes you into one of the most unique living history experiences in the country. If you've never been to Colonial Williamsburg before, one thing that's important to understand is that it's much more than an outdoor museum. You can walk the historic streets for free, but if you really want to experience Colonial Williamsburg, I think the admission ticket is well worth it because it gives you access to the historic buildings, demonstrations, and interpreters that truly bring this place to life.
As far as furniture goes, we're building furniture that is basically the average person can afford. So there are going to be things such as letterman chairs like this one, benches like you see there.
My recommendation would actually be to start your day with a guided walking tour. There are several companies that offer them, and I found it a great way to get oriented before exploring on my own. And our tour guide had some great stories to share.
Together brought into the gallery where they're going to be locked in, so they don't skip out during services and the preacher can keep an eye on them. They were pretty naughty, and I've got a story.
One of the things I enjoyed most about Colonial Williamsburg was how interactive it is. Throughout the day, you'll meet interpreters in period clothing who are eager to answer questions and explain what daily life was really like in the 1700s. For me, things stick better when I experience it rather than just reading about it. And it wasn't just me, the kids I saw were also really engaged. Another area you don't want to miss is the military encampment. Seeing the tents, equipment, and musket demonstrations help you understand what life was like for soldiers who lived and fought during this period. And speaking of military, Colonial Williamsburg offers a year-round 15% discount on both single-day and annual passes to active duty military members, veterans, retirees, reservists, and National Guard members. And during both Military Appreciation Month in May and Veterans Day weekend, Colonial Williamsburg also offers free admission. And many of the Colonial Williamsburg owned stores offer a military discount, so be sure to ask before you make a purchase. When you're ready for a break, be sure to check out Liberty Lounge, which is a military-only lounge located about center of Gloucester Street. Be sure to bring your ID, grab a drink, enjoy the air conditioning, and take advantage of the free Wi-Fi. All that walking is sure to get you hungry, and there are plenty of options at Colonial Williamsburg and Merchant Square. The cheese shop is probably the most famous lunch spot in Williamsburg, so a group of us made sure to try it out.
All right, so we are here at the cheese shop in Williamsburg, and I'm here with all my creator pals, and we are having lunch. I just tried the smoked cheddar with Swiss. Yeah, smoked cheddar with Swiss and alfalfa sprouts. It's delicious. The bread is like crusty on the edges and soft in the middle. This is definitely a place to stop if you're here in Williamsburg.
For dinner, we wanted to experience one of Colonial Williamsburg historic taverns, so we headed to King's Arms Tavern. If you've heard of the peanut soup, yes, that's an actual thing. I had to try it. It was interesting, but for me, it tasted a little like watered down peanut butter sauce, so I'm glad I tried it, but it probably isn't something I'd order again. The prime rib, on the other hand, was outstanding, and everyone at the table really enjoyed their meals. The King's Arms Tavern also honors the Colonial Williamsburg military discount, which is especially nice because dinner here can get a little pricey. And if you're spending the night, don't head back to your hotel too early. Colonial Williamsburg takes on a completely different atmosphere after dark. Colonial Williamsburg offers evening programs, including haunted walking tours, which are worth looking into when you're planning your trip. After spending a full day stepping back into the 1700s, it was time for the final day of our Williamsburg itinerary. Next, we're heading to Yorktown, where America's fight for independence came to a successful conclusion. We started our day at Mob Jack Coffee.
Mob Jack. This building is original to 1726. There are 9 buildings in town still standing from before both the American Revolution and the Civil War, which is pretty darn amazing if you think about it. Mob Jack is one of them. It had many stories over the years. Cole Diggs was a tobacco merchant, and when he built this house, he would have owned all this property all the way down to the waterfront and his own wharf. Over time, obviously many different chapters of history. In the 1800s, it was a woman-run coffee and tea house, so welcome back, everybody. In the 2000s, here we are again. We've taken this historic home, we've breathed life back into it. It was vacant for almost 15 years before we got here. So when we went in, we literally dusted off the cobwebs, did backlog maintenance on behalf of the National Park, created this destination, and put our coffee business, which was already established, into the living room, actually.
The breakfast sandwich and coffee were both very good, and they offer plenty of coffee roasted right in the living room for purchase. After that, we headed right next door to the steamer wagon. I really love this. It's a great way to learn about the battlefield without having to walk through another museum. Hopefully, I'm not the only one that had the world turned upside down from Hamilton in my head. After our tour, we walked down the small waterfront to explore and grab some lunch before we took the free Yorktown trolley to the American Revolution Museum. This museum is a combination of living history and a more traditional museum. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to try the escape room out, which is free with your admission. You just need to sign up for an available time slot. If any of you have tried it, please let me know. I plan on trying it out the next time I'm there. If you're traveling with kids, grandkids, or simply need a change of pace after several days of history, Busch Gardens makes a great addition. No history, just plenty of food and rides. And I have to say that Busch Gardens is one of the best theme parks I've seen when it comes to shade. Even though it was a really hot day, the walking was much easier because of all of the trees. Again, there are opportunities to save money for both active duty and veterans here. Through the Waves of Honor program, active duty get 1 complimentary admission for themselves and as many as 3 direct dependents. And for veterans, the Waves of Honor program also offers free tickets periodically. Typically, they'll offer this in May for use through June, but dates do change. For instance, they offered tickets for veterans who registered by July 31st to be used by September 1st. The free ticket offers for veterans through the Waves of Honor program change frequently. Just check the website for the most recent offers. We'll have that linked in the description below. So, how would we spend 3 days in Williamsburg? If you only have 1 day, do Colonial Williamsburg. If you have 2, add Jamestown. And if you have 3 or more, you can choose between Yorktown and Busch Gardens based on your interests, or even combine the two, spending the morning at either historic Yorktown or the American Revolution Museum, and the rest of the day at Busch Gardens. If you're traveling with younger children or grandchildren, prioritize living history and hands-on experiences. And if you're trying to really keep the budget down, plan ahead to go on Memorial Day or Veterans Day weekend when you can take advantage of free admission to Colonial Williamsburg, Jamestown Settlement, and the American Revolution Museum. Be sure to bring your National Park Pass, sign up for complimentary tickets through the Waves of Honor program, be sure to use your military discounts on food, and maybe even snag a spot at Cheatham Annex for lodging, and you can save a lot. Williamsburg is one of those destinations where you can visit again and again and have a completely different experience depending on the season. From history in the spring to Halloween and Christmas events later in the year, there's always a reason to come back. Thanks for joining us at Vets on Vacay. If you enjoy these practical travel tips, military benefits, and destination information that help you make the most of your adventure, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. This is Kathy. We'll see you in the next one.